Wow. Thank you. Thank you for attending. I'd like to invite Mike, the filmmaker, and some of the people that were in the documentary to come up on stage for a short 15, 20-minute panel. If you can stay. If you can't stay, thank you for coming. I'm blown away by how many people were able to come today, and that this is going to be something I do for work. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Hillary. Thank you guys all for being here. I know it's a pretty sweet powder day out there, so I appreciate you taking the time. This is the first time I showed that in front of a crowd of any sort, so it was very fun and a little exhilarating, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, thank you again. So yeah, this is, I'm going to maybe pass the mic down. Everybody can kind of introduce themselves and their title, and I know Kevin Perry is also going to join us, I believe. I think he just had to step out for a second, and then we can do some talking briefly.
Hi everyone, I'm Max Malmquist. I'm the engagement manager for Audubon's Saline Lakes program. You could probably tell from the documentary that I'm a self-proclaimed bird nerd. I spend a lot of time with the birds out of Great Salt Lake. But I also I work with the Great Salt Lake Watershed Enhancement Trust with the Nature Conservancy, and I help with water transactions to get more water to Great Salt Lake.
Good afternoon. My name is Kelly Hanna. I'm on the board of Friends of Great Salt Lake City. Lynn, she expresses her regrets that she couldn't be here today. Another important engagement. So happy to be here. Thanks for being here to see the film.
And my name is Dave Fields. I'm President and General Manager here at Snowbird, and I'm grateful for all of you who attended today. Congratulations on a great film, other than the guy in the blue jacket. I really liked it, but I think you should be really proud of it. I think it was very impressive.
And I'm Kevin Perry from Atmospheric Sciences at the University of Utah, and just want to reiterate, wonderful job. It was awesome.
So yeah, one of the reasons we wanted to do the screening up here and part of kind of the film in general is the connection, you know, through the water between the mountains here and the lake and our whole community that kind of exists within that whole environment. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that connectivity and ask Dave, you know, what you feel that the ski industry needs to do as a whole to kind of move the ball forward as far as like the maximum conservancy that we can achieve in terms of getting water to the lake, and just kind of where Snowbird's at, maybe for people that don't know and are curious about what that looks like.
Well, I thought it was very interesting hearing Jim Steenberg's comments about the shortening season. Many of you probably know Snowbird has skied until the 4th of July 3 times. And at this point last year, I was wondering if we were going to ski until the 24th of July. We had so much snow, it was unbelievable, historic amounts of snow. And those dust layers really kicked in, warmer than normal temperatures kicked in, and we closed for the season on Father's Day, which was absolutely unbelievable to me, given the winter that we had. And so we are seeing exactly what they're talking about in this film and all the science that has been predicted over the years. And so we talk a lot about what impact we are having on the watershed. Salt Lake City Public Utilities controls the water here in Little Cottonwood Canyon, and also Big, Mill Creek, and other drainages. And we work with them very closely on water quality, what's going in the water, how much water we're using. We're struggling right now with an interesting dilemma at the Creekside Lodge. We're capped at 80,000 gallons of water a month. I have that right, Hillary? And in the same day, I can have a conversation that we're going over our water allotment, but customers who are upset that we're using disposable silverware and plates. And that's how you save water in the restaurant, is you don't do dishes over and over again. And so there are a lot of pressures like that where we're trying to balance out what's good for the environment and conserving water. And an interesting development over the last couple of years is how the conversation about conservation in the West is starting to include snowmaking, which was never part of the formula. But what people are seeing is that When we make snow here at the ski resorts, it's on the main runs. We pack it down with grooming equipment, and it's the last snow in the watershed to melt. And water managers really like that timing. And so that's something we're studying as well. We're also participating in cloud seeding. That's a big part of our history. We've done that for decades, and more agencies, both the city and the state, are getting behind that and trying to increase the amount of precipitation that comes out of storms, which is estimated to be around 7% more precipitation out of a storm when you're cloud seeding. So we're exploring all of those opportunities and a lot more.
I think there's only one working or on microphone up here, so we'll keep passing it around for the moment. That's great. That's a lot of exciting opportunities. Kelly, kind of going off the other side of that, I remember when Lynn met Dave for the first time, you guys both expressed like how nice it was to meet each other, and I was kind of shocked that you hadn't already in this conversation. So it's cool to keep making these connections. And I guess I'm curious from your perspective, what you feel or what you're excited about as far as connecting more with the ski industry and what you hope to get out of that partnership with them down, the long run.
I think I and we are most excited about collaboration. And all of us sitting up here today, over the last couple of years, I've heard more talk about collaboration and that we have to find the solutions to this together than ever before. And there's something about water that connects us all, more than anything else, right? And one of the things I love about Friends of Great Salt Lake is we're apolitical, we're not in it for the fight, we are in it for collaboration and connection and sharing perspectives. And I really appreciate, Mike, your work on this film and sharing such a wide variety of perspectives. Because if we can't understand each other's perspectives, then we've already failed.
That's great. Dave, you kind of already mentioned what I was going to bring up, but talking about the 4th, I remember, the record amount of snowfall last year, we'd all kind of assumed we were going to ski until that point. And so seeing that not happen was crazy. And that brings in kind of, Kevin, your research and on the dust and stuff. It's kind of a different perspective on it because you've, talked about your research a million times and you guys just got to see it. But I think bring it back to like recreation a little bit, and for people that haven't gotten to go out on the lake. We all love to recreate in the mountains, obviously, and ski, and I feel like kind of just through how it worked out, you found a way to recreate on the lake, which isn't really always easy. And obviously you're out there doing work, but you found a way to really, enjoy the experience out there and to get some exercise and excitement out of it. So I'd just love to hear your perspective on that and what the lake kind of gave you through the process of your work there.
Like many people, I'm not native Utah, and I moved here 22 years ago, and the first 10 years I lived here, I never went to the lake. I didn't understand it, sort of thing. But as I started noticing the dust, I've been studying dust for 30 years, so I knew what was in store for Great Salt Lake. And it was weird because when I first went out to the lake, I had all these preconceived ideas about what it was going to be like. And a lot of you have the same sort of thing or have heard those stories. And it was a journey of discovery for me, not just scientifically, but emotionally, and growing to become an advocate for saving Great Salt Lake. I've been out there, 200 plus times now, and it's amazing because, what I heard in the film from the gentleman who was the kayaking is that every time you go out there, you see something different that you hadn't seen before. And that just totally shocked me. I thought I'd go out there a few times and I've seen what I've seen and then that would be that. But it's an amazing, amazing place. I fell in love with it and just trying to do something unusual for a scientist, which is trying to be an educator, to do outreach, to talk to every media person that would come along, trying to spread the word. And I'm not alone, and I'm thankful that I'm not alone, that there are a lot of people that have participated in that as well. And hopefully it's making a difference.
Awesome. Max, changing topics a little bit, but there's one thing that I was actually really curious about that I don't know the answer to. Since we talked about the Pelicans leaving Gunnison Island and everything, the last time we connected was like kind of right after that happened, and and there was confusion over what had happened to that colony and what was going to happen. I'd be curious if you have any updates, positive or negative, for anybody in that way.
That's a great question, Mike, and I think it's still a bit up in the air. I think you talked to some of the wildlife biologists with the Division of Wildlife Resources, and there's hope that even if the North Arm, if the level stays low and Gunnison Island has a land bridge, that they will try to nest again this coming summer. But it remains to be seen. I think that's one of the big question marks that I'm hoping that we have a positive result this coming summer.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We already had a lot of questions earlier during the presentation, but if anybody has any questions for anyone up here, I'd love to take some. Otherwise, yeah. I was the first hand back there. It was a very enthusiastic hand. Oh, yes.
I was going to ask this earlier. Anybody know if there's water spiral jetting out?
I don't believe so. Yeah, I was there the last time. I haven't been there since October, but there wasn't then. But yeah, I don't think the North Arm level has come up very much since that time, so I don't believe so. There is water past it, and it's still beautiful, and I would say personally worth the drive up there. It's super desolate, really cool, and you kind of see the jetty still, and you can walk out on the playa to the water, and it's still a very cool place, but I do not think there is any water there.
I would guess it's probably 3/4 of a mile out.
Yes.
I have often heard the quote in conversations around water use. There's a book by Heather Hansen called Downriver, and it's mostly focused on the Colorado basin, but like no one is really wrong. There's just not enough water for them all to be right. So I've been super sort of passionate about sort of seeing across these lines of like recreationists and agriculture and all this, like really come together around a solution. But as community members in Salt Lake, when we're not in positions like yours, where you're often directly involved in those conversations, where you can sort of work to propose on conservation on a policy level, like how do we as people living in Salt Lake, working here, recreating here, try to engage in those conversations and try to make headway in that collaboration?
That's a great question.
I think there's a number of answers, but I think the most simple answer is, we just came out of a legislative session, and you have elected officials, and there are, every year we have water conservation bills that come up, and I think as individuals in the Salt Lake Valley, reach out to your elected officials and tell them that, that with those bills, that you support those efforts. And I think that's one way to kind of get the conversation started. And then, the other thing I would say, with that disconnect with the people who are doing the work, I think we have moved in the last couple of years. There's a Great Salt Lake Collaborative, which for the first time, we have journalists and media outlets that are focused on giving us regular information and updates and educating us about the lake. I think it's awesome to have the collaborative and to take advantage of that. And then I'll also give a plug to Friends of Great Salt Lake, and they've got the Great Salt Lake Issues Forum coming up, where you can engage and learn from a lot of the experts that are working on the lake, not just at Great Salt Lake, but with saline lakes around the hemisphere and the globe.
That's where Lynn is today. She's making big preparations for that Issues Forum, which is in May, 8th to the 10th, I think, which brings some of the greatest saline lakes mines across the country and across the world into one place to talk about all the challenges we're facing. In addition to what Max just said, I think one of the things that we can do as individuals is think about and spend some time thinking about how you connect with your water and the pieces of your life where that water is meaningful to you, and share that with one other person. We each have that individual capacity to spread these ideas, and you've probably all heard about, would you rather have $1 million or a penny that doubles for a day for a month? It starts with every single one of us, and connecting with that piece that's important to us, and leveraging that to another person or two or a community is where this work's really going to be done, I think.
Yes, sir.
In the strategic plan, I think it talks a lot about, or not a lot, but some about cloud seeding for the Great Salt Lake. I was curious how much projected water that would bring potentially to the Salt Lake, or is it more strategic to control the dust? And then subsequently, if we know how that would impact snow up here in the mountains.
Dave, do you want to speak on that a little? I feel like you might be
I'm getting in way over my head here, but you may have missed it earlier. I was talking about cloud seeding, and we participated in that for a long time. We hosted a cloud seeding conference here in the fall, and in that conference they were talking about the ability to enhance precipitation out of a storm in optimal conditions by about 7%, and that can vary. And so you see the state and Salt Lake City getting behind cloud seeding to try to squeeze more out of every storm that comes across the valley. And it does seem to be helping, and it's more embraced. It wasn't talked about that much 20 years ago, but now it's out, and a lot of agencies are getting behind it. And whether or not they're using it to tamp down dust or just put more water into the ecosystem, I couldn't tell you. I would probably say all of the above, but it is getting a lot of support these days.
beautiful. Did you have a question?
I have a question. I was educated just now because I was at the science day. I was really upset that we were eating these plastic forks, and I now we pull together on the East Coast. But I think it would be good if places that use it instead of seeing. You want to learn something, somebody puts an education material out so consumers understand and they report it. Solution, and maybe definitely whatever you choose, let it be bamboo, let it not have plastic. Naturally biodegradable, not coming from the facility. My little 2 cents. I think it's a great cause.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of is emblematic of a lot of problems when it comes to issues like the Great Salt Lake or, climate change in general, is that there are so many kind of conflicting things. When you solve one problem, you might be facilitating another. And so it's about, really understanding both sides of everything and figuring out a way to not get, maybe worked up about things and be able to communicate and connect and collaborate. 3 C's, there we go. Beautiful. Awesome. We got one more over there. I think we have to
On
wrap.
that cloud seeding, I do have a question. If you take more water out of the clouds here, who's getting screwed down?
I think we take most of the moisture away from the people downwind of us anyway, with all these great storms we have here. But
That's a good question. I can't answer that.
yeah, I cannot either. Does anyone up here have any expertise on cloud seeding? Well, that'll be something we should all research then. Kevin? Yeah. Oh, please, I thought you shook your head. I'm so sorry.
So I'm an atmospheric scientist, and cloud seeding, what most people don't understand is that it only works in a very specific type of cloud. You can't just, the conditions that you have to have is what we call supercooled water, which is liquid water at temperatures below 0 degrees Celsius, below freezing. And if basically the clouds need ice nuclei in order for the ice to form, and ice nuclei are actually pretty rare in the atmosphere, and that's why you have so many supercooled clouds. Pilots are really aware of this. They don't like to fly through clouds that are between 0 and minus 15 degrees Celsius because their aircraft will ice up. But if you can introduce ice nuclei into that regime in the cloud, then you can turn those water droplets into ice crystals, and the thermodynamics are such that ice crystals grow much, much faster than water droplets. And if you've ever been to the ocean, most of the clouds out over the ocean rain, and that's because they have large droplets because they're not very polluted. But only 10% of clouds over continents rain because they're polluted and they have small droplets. And most of the clouds that will produce precipitation in the continents have ice in them. And so the cloud seeding can't be used to produce clouds. It won't enhance precipitation if you already have clouds that have turned to ice, but there's a certain segment of clouds where it is an effective tool in the arsenal. And you know, Idaho has been investing like, what, $2 million a year in cloud seeding for decades, trying to increase the amount of water that falls. Utah's been investing in it, and it's becoming a more accepted tool in our arsenal of trying to increase water in the West.
Thank you, Kevin. Sorry, I almost shut you out there. Well, thank you guys. I think that's our time. Thank you all so much for being a part of this. Everyone in the community out here was so helpful in helping me put this together, and I couldn't have done it without them. And so thank you guys all for being here again, and I hope you enjoyed your day. Get out and maybe get some turns. Oh, yes. All right, we have one more question quickly.
It's not a cool sign.
Okay.
Question,
Uh-huh.
like I know I have friends that are interested in Save the Great Salt Lake.
Mhm.
How can I share your film?
That's a great question. I'm still kind of working on that right now. This is the first screening I've done like this, but I'll get your number or contact info and we'll communicate, and I can try and help get that to you. Absolutely, yeah, thank you.
One short question. Is someone being done to help with the pollution in the basin as well? That makes it less dirty.
That's a big question. Yes.
Another day maybe.
I think it might have to be for another day. Yes. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, thank you guys.
You're right.